Have you ever poured money into ads or marketing only to wonder if it's worth it? Or maybe your membership feels like it's growing, but your bank account tells a different story. I want to share with you the most important number every membership owner needs to know and how to calculate it. My name is Shanna, and I've helped clients add 3.4 million in annual recurring revenue from existing customers. So I'm going to talk about what the LTV to CAC ratio is and why it's crucial to know. I'll show you how to calculate it step by step using simple examples. Not too long ago, I was having dinner with a membership owner. She was a member of a high level mastermind, so her revenue was great, but I found out she had never paid herself. In fact, her membership was never profitable. She was desperate for a change. And lots of membership owners, they feel the same way. Many of them are my friends and even clients. They're the success stories on the big stage, but behind closed doors, their business is failing. They have the revenue, some of them even above $1 million, but it's not a sustainable membership. And this is far too common. Membership owners often struggle with two critical issues. They're spending too much on member acquisition. They pour money into ads and marketing campaigns without knowing if they're spending efficiently or whether the members they're bringing in are staying long enough to justify the cost. And secondly, they have lots of churn without profitability. Without a clear grasp of how much revenue or lifetime value each member generates compared to how much it costs to acquire them, membership owners can end up operating at a loss, even if they're bringing in new members every month. That's why you need to know the LTV to CAC ratio for your membership. It's going to give you clarity. Are you spending more to acquire a member than the revenue they generate? If yes, you need to adjust your acquisition strategies or your pricing. It's going to help give you focus as well. It's going to help direct your attention to either improving retention so that you can increase lifetime value by reducing your churn or optimizing your acquisition cost. And it's going to give you sustainability. It's going to make sure that your membership model is not just growing, but that it's profitable with long-term health. All right, so let's talk about what this is. CAC is your customer acquisition cost. It's how much you spend to acquire a new member. And next we have LTV, which is your lifetime value. The total revenue you earn from a member over their lifetime in your membership is the lifetime value. If your CAC is higher than your LTV, you're losing money. But if your LTV is significantly higher, you're not just acquiring members, you're growing a thriving, sustainable business. This is even more critical if your churn is high. A high churn rate lowers your LTV, meaning you have less revenue to cover your acquisition costs. Knowing your LTV to CAC ratio is a game changer. It gives you a clear picture of whether your marketing is working and whether your membership model is actually profitable. So let's talk about how to calculate it. First, you need to calculate your CAC. You're going to divide your total marketing costs by the number of members acquired. So let's say that you had $1,000 in marketing costs and that got you 10 members. We're going to divide 1,000 by 10, and that's going to tell you that your CAC is $100. It costs you $100 to acquire every new member. Now, step 2 is we're going to calculate our LTV, or our lifetime value. I want you to multiply your average monthly revenue per member by the average number of months that they stay. So in this example, for calculating LTV, we're going to assume that we have a $50 a month price for our membership. Now, I know some of you have annual pricing and various pricing models. You can just do an average to get your average monthly cost. So let's assume that your average monthly price for your membership is $50 and the average member stays for 10 months. So that would be 50 times 10, which gives us a $500 LTV. You're probably wondering at this point, well, how do I know that the average member stays for 10 months? This is actually pretty simple to calculate if you know your retention rate or your churn, which is just the opposite of retention. So in this case right here, our churn is actually 0.1 because our retention is 90%. So with a 90% retention rate, to calculate that average length of stay, we're just going to do 1 over our churn, which churn is literally the opposite of retention. So right here, our retention is actually 0.9. And so if we just take 1 minus 0.9, we're going to get 0.1, and that's our return. So 1 over 0.1, which gives us 10. And that is how we got that average length of stay. Now, if calculating the LTV feels a little complicated, then you can use my free lifetime value calculator. It makes this so easy. It's actually kind of done for you. You just enter in a few key numbers, and I'm going to spit out a whole bunch of numbers for you. So memberltv.com. Just go to memberltv.com, and that is going to give you a free lifetime value and retention calculator. Okay, so let's go back up. So now we just need to compare these to get our LTV to CAC ratio. So we're going to do 500 compared to 1, which gives us a 5 to 1 LTV to CAC ratio. Now, a ratio of at least 3 to 1 is healthy, meaning you earn $3 for every $1 spent acquiring a member, but the higher the better. Now, you have to keep in mind other expenses as well, like employees, software, operating costs, and your ratio may need to be higher to compensate for high overhead costs if you have a lot of those base costs. This actually is why I like to operate on a really low overhead for my business, and why I like to help my clients get to that place as well, because it's actually going to help this CAC to LTV ratio be able to be profitable faster. Now, because your churn significantly impacts your LTV, lowering churn, meaning keeping your members longer, is a great way to increase this ratio and create more profit in your membership. So let's look at our previous example to see how reducing our churn or increasing our retention can help create a whole lot more profitability in the business without ever acquiring a new customer. So here's our previous example with the 5 to 1 ratio. In this example, if you'll remember, our retention was 90%, which made our churn 0.1 or 10%. And that's how we got this $500 LTV or lifetime value. Our CAC was $100, meaning it cost us $100 to acquire every new member. That's a 5 to 1 ratio again, pretty good. But if we can reduce that churn, meaning we're going to keep our members for longer by using great retention systems like I teach inside of my programs, then we're going to see this profitability increase significantly. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to pretend like we've implemented good member journey maps and amazing retention systems, and now our retention rate is not 90% anymore. It is 95%. Okay, and that means that our churn is 0.05. So to get our new length of stay, we're just going to do 1 over 0.05. And that is going to give us 20. Just trust me, if you're not familiar with dividing fractions, my husband is a former math teacher and we homeschool our kids. That's 20 months. So 20 months is the average length of stay. Now, if you remember, it was previously 10 months. We're going to say that our membership cost is still on average $50 a month. So now we're just going to bring this down. We're going to multiply this, and we're going to get a new LTV. This is our new LTV right here, $1,000. It was $500. So our new LTV to CAC ratio is 1,000 to 100, which is 10 to 1. We have now doubled. We went from 5 to 1, right? That was our original LTV to CAC, to now 10 to 1. And that's pure profit. That is pure profit. So now instead of making $5 for every dollar that we spend on marketing, we're actually making $10. And we know that that's going to be pure profit, right? If we were already profitable at 5 to 1, we're going to be doubly profitable at 10 to 1. Now, understanding this ratio and the impact that retention has on this and creating more profitability in your business, it's so important because a lot of time you have very little control over the CAC, over your cost per acquisition due to advertising costs. But retention is much more controllable. Plus, when we have more profitability in our business, we're actually able to spend more on ads to acquire new customers. So we can invest more in our acquisition as well. So, what are your action steps? Well, first, I want you to track your numbers. Use tools like a simple spreadsheet or membership software to calculate your CAC and LTV. As a reminder, you can just go to memberltv.com memberltv.com to get my free calculator. It's going to be super simple. Just enter some numbers and it'll calculate your LTV and your retention rate for you. Now, secondly, I need you to know your break even point. If your CAC is close to or higher than your LTV, you need to prioritize retention and cut your acquisition costs until you stabilize. And also remember to factor in those other business expenses as well when you can. And then I want you to adjust your acquisition strategy based on what you learned. If your CAC is too high, explore organic marketing strategies or refine your ads to attract the right members. If you have a very high LTV to CAC ratio, consider investing more in advertising to scale your business. And finally, of course, you're going to optimize your retention, my favorite. Focus on keeping your members longer to increase your lifetime value. And if you want the best strategies on how to do that, go to retainguide.com to download my free retention strategy guide. You're going to learn how to increase your retention rate, decrease your churn so that you can increase your lifetime value and improve your LTV to CAC ratio. If you're serious about building a profitable membership, you need to track this ratio so that you ensure your membership business is profitable and sustainable. Knowing the LTV to CAC ratio is your first step toward putting your money in your pocket and scaling your membership business.